Good morning, Washington! And all the ships at sea in Baltimore and Camp Springs and Gaithersburg and Greenbelt and Oakton and Chantilly. Welcome to DCR TV, Dave. Dave TV for the 20th of May, 2011. Interesting listening to BDK on JFK this morning. There was some more talk this morning on the Junkies about how they're moving the station to Lanham. You know, CBS has all of its other radio stations in the Washington area in Lanham. Okay, that's Fresh 94.7 and KY and LZL, Elzal, and PGC, and now they're moving. They're going to be moving JFK over there. In fact, the ad sales people from JFK are already over there. And so eventually the Fairfax studio will be closed and everybody's going to get moved over there. And BDK says he'll be making the drive over there too. I always like BDK. Interesting that he has this interesting listening to his crazy obsessive compulsive stuff this morning on the show. I like him. He's a cool guy. And in fact, I think maybe somebody ought to give him his own radio show on a real station, not on one of those HD2 thingies or whatever. All right, I was thinking here the other day, you know, we've been listening to WMAL for the last 2-3 months or so. You know, they just haven't picked a morning team, right? They had Fred Grandy and his crazy wife left the station. When was that? Like March? February, somewhere around March. You know, it's been like, 2.5 months now. And they kept Brian Neiman, who is, I like Brian. He's a cool guy. But they just, there was always rumors that they were going to announce a new morning show. And then it's just been a rotating parade of these co-hosts. OMD, Enola Gay. Enola Gay. Watching a lot of World War II history things on History Channel and cool stuff. Anyhow, what is MAL going to do? Just keep the rotating hosts? I don't know. I think they should sit down and make a decision, okay? So let's just take a quick review here of what MAL's options are, okay? We've got this guy, Byron York, kind of a boring righty columnist from the Examiner. I don't know, man. I find him boring on the radio. He may be a good writer if you're into that conservative persuasion, but I find his radio presence leaves something to be desired. How about Mary Catherine Ham? She's the Daily Caller. I like her. She has a good radio presence. She's pretty. She's conservative, but she's not crazy conservative. I like her a lot. How about Mary Walter? This picture doesn't do her much justice, but I also like her a lot. She's quite good. In fact, I sometimes can't tell whether I'm listening to Mary Walter or Mary Catherine Ham. And what about Joe DeGeneva? No, I don't like Joe DeGeneva. He's a pompous, arrogant lawyer. What was he? A public defender? The public. I never liked Joe DeGeneva. He's not very handsome. He's got a crazy wife. No, they ought to not put him on. How about Peter Marisi, the guy, University of Maryland expert, economics expert or whatever? I didn't like him much either. He kind of doesn't think before he speaks, especially when he's talking about non-economic issues. I don't think he's very good. He has that. Even though I was born in New York and lived there for a while in the New York suburbs, I hate that New York accent forward. I don't know, man. He has that New York accent. It just grates on you, kind of like kind of like a Sean Hannity Jr. Do not like him. Here's the one. Here's the guy who should be. This is what WMAL should be picking as their permanent co-host for their morning show. Michael Steele. I like him a lot. He's funny. He's intelligent. He's not a hard-ass righty, although he does lean right. He's just, I think he's a cool guy, and I really liked his co-hosting on the station. He and Brian Neiman seem to get along really well. So I would say Brian Neiman, Michael Steele, I think, and he adds a little color to the station, right? He's got Maryland roots. He's local. He knows a lot about local stuff. I would think, if WMAL had any sense, which they don't, Michael Steele would be the co-host with Brian Neiman, and then maybe, you could throw in Mary Catherine or Mary Walter. One of maybe those three. Either one of those. Make it a threesome, whatever. But I think Michael Steele would be the he would be the guy I would pick after listening. I liked Major Garrett, and I do like Brian Wilson, although he hasn't been doing much on the station lately. But I do think that the best one would be Michael Steele. That's who I like the most. Good Lord! All these little windows that open up on my system here. The also thing I think WMAL, as I said before, they need to move to 105.9. They need to have the signal on both signals, 630 and 105.9. And even incorporate hey, here's the deal. Move Sean Hannity to later in the evening, or put him after Mark Levin, and then get an afternoon show going, and get Mike O'Mara and Kirk McEwen from 105.9, since 105.9 The Edge won't be around anymore, right? Make them the afternoon show hosts and have it more of a political talk show. So here's what I would do at MAL. I would have the mornings would be Michael Steele and Brian Neiman with maybe Mary Catherine Ham, Mary Walter. And then I would have, Chris the Idiot Plant on in the afternoon. He's funny. He's a douchebag, but he's funny. Rush Limbaugh on it. And then at 3 o'clock, I would put the afternoon show. I'd have maybe Mike O'Mara and Kirk McEwen doing a political talk show for a couple hours. And then, maybe at 6 o'clock, do a little bit of Sean Hannity and then put Mark Levin on at 8 or 9. I don't know, something like that. I'd have it on 630 and 105.9. So there I go. That's what I would do if I was the program director at WMAL, which will never happen, but there you go. I also was scouring the internet the other day and found, people ask me, Dave, do you have any radio experience at all? And actually, I do. I've worked at a radio station once. This is it, WMRA, James Madison University's radio station, 90.7. I actually did some news there in the late 70s. I was also the guy who was in charge of the tape library back before satellite, where we had all these NPR tapes come in. We were primarily a classical music station, although we did run some of the NPR programming in the morning and afternoons. And I noticed now they've got a whole bunch of relays now all over the place, which we didn't have back then. And I also noticed they're also running WEMC. Now, WEMC was the voice of Eastern Mennonite College, which was across town, which had a classical kind of religious format. So I guess WMRA is now running both of these at James Madison. So that's kind of interesting. So that's cool. And then, of course, JMU now also has a student-run station, WXJM at 88.7, which is something that we didn't used to have. So I'm really proud of my old university there on the radio side of things. It looks like they're doing quite well. Can't hear any of them here in Northern Virginia, but I could listen live on the website here, so that's cool. What's the other? Any other big news on this Friday? Well, Flounder has apparently gone missing from Elliot's DC101 show. Josh, who pens the EITM Elliot in the Morning Fans blog, says that Flounder hasn't been heard on the station for a while, and wondering if it could be some sort of a dust-up between the new program director at the Clear Channel Alt Rocker. So we'll if we get any news on that, we will report it. First Wave. Depeche Mode. World in My Eyes. Cool song. Oh, I just wish there was a radio station in Washington that played First Wave stuff, man. Oh, one correction we want to make. Yesterday we reported the big news that the KHZ network, which is run by local radio great Bill Paris, had purchased 1520 WTRI in Brunswick, Maryland. They haven't. They're leasing the signal. I'm not sure who owns the station these days, but it's a lease agreement, so they're renting the time on it, so to speak. Whether a purchase agreement will come down the pike is a possibility, I would assume, but for the moment, renting the time. So you can listen to these eclectic oldies on 1520 WTRI, along with 970 out of Aberdeen, Maryland, northeast of Baltimore, and 810 out of Annapolis, and an Eastern Shore outlet over there in Easton. So there we go. All right, folks, we're at the 10-minute mark. Gotta go. Thanks for watching Dave TV. Don't forget to stay tuned.